Good morning, Toad Nation. We are back with another Billy Toad Show, episode 2, the one and only Nick Polk. He's coaching at Lipscomb. He's a good friend of mine. He's a great guy, and we're going to get him on the podcast. Nick, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Good, man. Good. I haven't seen you in a while, but yeah, you've been kind of a big part of my life since I've been here in Nashville. You guys, let me take photos of the team. I got to run with some of the guys because I used to live with a couple of old guys that used to be on the team. And yeah, you've been very good to me. So I was like, why not bring them on the show? And you have a wealth of knowledge. The things you've done at Lipscomb are very, very impressive to anyone. And I think people are sleeping on you. The girls team last year making it to Nationals and everything was also a big thing that I think showed some people some light, but I think there's a lot more in store. So yeah, I'm pumped to have you on here.
Yeah, I appreciate it. No, it's been good. You're a day one. I think you and I probably came to Nashville same time, 2020,
really?
Right?
Okay, yeah. COVID, my birthday.
Yeah, I mean, that's right before was when I came that fall, and yeah, you've been there the whole way, so
cool.
It's awesome.
Before Lipscomb, though, I know you've had a different journey here and there. You ran a little bit. You were coaching. Kind of talk about what got you into running and where it all started. Were you a runner when you were a little kid, or did you not get into it till your high school or college?
Yeah, I was about every sport, basketball. I was just talking with one of our guys today about the craziness of college sports and wishing we were still basketball players, but probably choosing the wrong sport or whatever. But yeah, I think I just took every other sport until I was too small and too short and not fast enough or whatever, and then switched to running. I remember I actually played played high school football.
Oh, really?
And then they were like, yeah, this is not going to work. And then track coach, there's the football coach or whatever, said run track, and I ran five flat mile my first week. So I was like, hey, man, this is it.
Maybe there is something there.
Literally no training ever, 5 flat out the gate, and then that's just all started from there.
I think that's kind of life. If you keep trying all these different sports, just like jobs, you keep trying all these jobs, you try these different things, you find one, and you're like, wow, this was easier for me to be better at. And you're like, oh, this is the way to go.
And I think I've done that in a lot of stuff in life. It's like you figure out, you, like in college, you major in something and it just doesn't work, and then you go into business and it does, or a job and that kind of thing. So been fortunate to hit your head on a wall and then try something new, and then it's just natural. So
yeah, so you ran at Grand Valley State.
Yep.
Kind of talk about that and why did you go there?
Yeah, I was solid, but probably not like a recruitable athlete in today's world, or I wouldn't recruit myself.
In today's world, I wouldn't. None of us would be recruited.
No, we would not. Yeah, especially now with roster limits, I would be. But my college coach was from Indiana, Jerry Baltus, he took a chance on me, went there. He had a really good career. He's still coaching there. He's been super successful, and he was like a young, new head coach at the time. Took a chance, and I like that. It's been awesome. I met my wife there and all that, so that was a huge part of my life.
And remind me of where you're from, like born and raised?
Indiana, Indianapolis, Indiana.
Cool.
Yeah.
So then Grand Valley State, I was doing what everyone probably does. I was looking at your LinkedIn and all your different profiles on all the schools you coached at. But I don't know if you knew this because I don't think we've ever talked about this. Again, we've known each other 5 years now. John Carroll Blue Streaks.
Yeah.
I went there for a semester. Did you know that?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, I did not know that you were.
Yeah, you're a baseball player, huh?
Yeah. I played baseball there for one semester. Didn't work out. I'm like, I'm getting out of there. But no way. You were in the Shaker Heights. Kind of talk about, that was one of your first gigs outside of college, right?
Yeah. So I thought I was going to go. So I worked at Nike twice. I did like 2 part-time, like temporary things. That's what I wanted to do.
Were they like internships kind of?
Yeah, I did like an internship and then a temporary position. I did kind of like pre-Billy. I mean, I was like Nike traveling. I went to Southern California, like LA, and we're visiting high schools and taking videos. And we were doing like a bunch of cool stuff, kind of like
you're hired
real early on,
Yeah.
And then it just kind of fun stuff like that, but it had to end. And then I could just it just never worked out for a full-time thing there.
Yeah.
So then the coaching world started opening, and I went to John Carroll and had a year there, and it was awesome. It was like Cleveland, Ohio, people look down on it or whatever. It's cold, whatever. It was one of the best, like, great place to live.
I liked it. It was a nice neighborhood. It's a big Jesuit school, big Jewish community in that area as well. But their houses are homes. And when you were walking around, you felt like you were loved. You kind of felt. I love John Carroll to this day. Again, it didn't work out for me, but I loved it. And it was close to home, Erie, PA, where I'm from, so it was also nice. My brother, a little smarter than me, ended up going to Case Western. Aerospace, mechanical, double engineer major. Guy's brilliant. But yeah, so we're kind of a Cleveland family, even though we're from there.
I only spent 1 year, but I really liked it.
Longer than me.
Yeah. Was it really your semester? Yeah.
Semester, literally one semester, first semester.
And then, I would have stayed. I was there doing a 2-year program, and then my college coach, Jerry at Grand Valley, called and was like, you got to leave. Our assistant coach position opened up. And it wasn't even like...
So you went back to Grand Valley?
Yeah, he's not like, do you want to take this or whatever? He's like,
you're doing it.
So like 2 days later, I just quit, dropped out of the program that I was in, and just like back to Grand Valley.
No way, that's awesome. So. One fun fact story, like, so there's like Kid Cudi is from Shaker Heights. Yeah. And then we were in Nashville. Nashville's home of music, and just a lot of people were coming here. And I was walking through, and these 3 security guards were like, I was like, who's coming through? Me and Jordan and my roommates BK were here, and we're like, I don't know. And then we're like, oh snap, look who it is. And you know, he's awesome. I'm like, what? He was on my top 3 Spotify, you know. And I go, Shaker Heights for life. And he stopped dead in his tracks and stared at me and goes, what'd you say? And I said, Shaker Heights for life.
Excuse me.
Yeah, and he goes, what you know about Shaker Heights? I'm like, I went to John Carroll, and he goes, John Carroll. He goes, let's go. He goes, I used to live down the road there. Sorry if this is inappropriate, but he goes, that's how I bought my first car, was selling pot to those guys at John Carroll. Wow. And he goes, bet. And I go, bet. And I said, I'm going to get a picture. And he goes, heck yeah, for Cleveland. And we took a picture.
Dang,
and I'll post it right here. Yeah. It was Machine Gun Kelly.
Wow.
And then my friend was like, bro, how'd you get him to do that? I'm like, you just got to talk about their roots, man. And I knew John Carroll. I'm like, my brother went to Case Western. He's like, oh, so you're real. And I'm like, yeah, I used to take the transit down to the Jacobs Field, now Progressive Field for the games. He goes, oh, yeah? So
that's awesome. That's
kind of a cool story, but he's a big Shaker Heights guy. So there's a lot of, even though you said it kind of gets a bad rep, there's some cool people to come out of there. And, you know, me and you both had a stint there. So another bonding moment.
And they had a really good team. That's a good.
Now
one of my good friends, Kyle, was the head coach there, and then he's moved on to Yale now. But they had,
Don Shula, one of the most famous coaches in the NFL for the Dolphins. He went there. The Don Shula stadiums are football stadiums.
No, the whole I mean, that's like NFL GM. Like breeding ground.
Oh yeah, the Patriots guy. Yeah, there's a bunch of So don't sleep on John Carroll.
No, they small schools, man. They can do it.
Gotta love it. I mean, speaking of that, So then, after John Carroll, you went to a couple places, and then you also started working with the USATF. Kind of talk, and you still do that now. Kind of talk about, you know, how you're able to do that and what were your roles there. And I think that's really cool. But I don't think a lot of people that aren't coaches know that. I don't think a lot of kids are like, oh, he coaches and works there.
Yeah. No, I've been fortunate. I've worked at D3, D2, D1, and professional track, like in a professional setting. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I don't think a lot of people probably have gone from kids just like socializing and wanting to be on the team all the way to, you know, I was at Worlds in China last week, and that kind of elite, or a couple weeks ago now. But so it's fun. I think, and it gives me a good grounding place to be at a place like Lipscomb now, because you've got kids that want to be really elite and are really good, but I'm also I'm still a fan of the kids that just like are trying to make it and want to be there, and I still have that kind of D2, D3 background or whatever. I was worked at USATF for a couple of years, sports science and medicine manager. So did a lot of like the Diamond League meets. I've been to most of those and helped with like anything from like health insurance, like all the little stuff that you don't know athletes need. And like one of the biggest things was like, even if you're a top end sprinter, you're Noah Lyles, when you graduate, he's not a good example because he didn't go to college. Cindy McLaughlin, you graduate college, you lose athletic training, you lose your massage, your facility, your health insurance, like all that stuff is gone. So our role was kind of to help step in and take care of the athletes, not necessarily on the training side, but like everything else that they would maybe lose.
No way.
And that's a big deal. I mean, because athletes get hurt, they have mental stuff, they need health insurance, they need nutrition. So we kind of did all of that.
You were kind of like their assistant offside the track. You helped them with all the stuff they knew. Wow.
Yeah. So we weren't we were like the 1%. I'm coaching now, you're the 99%, but at there you're trying to be like the best 1%.
Oh yeah.
And I think a lot of people that aren't heavily involved with USATF don't even know that exists. But there's like 150-ish athletes that are taken care of really well by the USOPC and USATF. And they don't have unlimited resources by any means. Most of the college programs have more resources than USATF does, but they put a lot of money into athlete health and making sure you're in a good spot.
So this makes sense. I just rode the plane. I got stuck with Colleen Quigley. Not a bad person to get stuck with, but we were riding the plane and she was kind of telling me like, because I'm like, how does this work with health insurance and all that? And this is exactly what you did or do. And I was like, oh no, that's crazy that it's all coming together, because they were saying not to knock on it, but they were saying like Molly Seidel was one of the people that earned it, but then didn't get it the next year because it only lasts for a calendar year or something like that once you become the top percent.
Yeah.
And then she got hurt the year after and they didn't cover it. And it was like, oh, shoot, this is a bad deal. So they still need something, you know, everyone needs some help. But
and that's the tricky part, I think, for all of them. And, you know, I think they do a lot, but also at the same time, you just can't, there's not enough resources to do everything. And I think that's the tricky part is like, if you medal, you get a little bit more time if you medal, like you're safe for a little bit. But it's tough. It's like any sport, like football, you know, you get hurt and some guy comes in and takes your job, like you can go on the way out. So it's I think they do a really good job. I'm biased because I like that crew and that work there, but it's cutthroat. You know, you got to be relevant like all the time.
Yeah. What's one of your first off, I was going to say, I think that's what makes you one of the as good coach as you are is, you know, they say like some of these CEOs, they'll go back like Mark Cuban and stuff, and he goes and works behind the counter, and he goes and works in the sweatshop, or he does this and that, and it's like, you know, you said you went from being an athlete to then going D1, D2, D3, all over the board. You were everywhere. Kind of talk like I think that makes you a better coach because you've seen all walks of life, you've seen all facilities, you probably had no track or no indoor, none of this or that, and I think that's cool.
I think that's a big piece of it. Like I'm okay with you know, like at Lipscomb we've got a lot. We don't have everything, you know, but I'm okay with like I've seen how professional athletes train. You go to Kenya or Ethiopia and they're on the worst track ever. Like no college NCAA athlete would train on what they train on. You know, there's weeds growing in the thing, and these guys are and then you know, and then I get to like where I'm at now. We have what we need. You know, it's not always the best in the world, but it's like I have seen that you can do a lot with a little bit, and and that's probably one of the best parts about seeing these professional athletes is like you think they have everything, but they don't. They're piecemealing stuff together, and a lot of times the NCAA athletes have it better than they do.
100%. I mean, that's why a lot of the people train. Like, there's a huge group at Arkansas. Hey, it's a good program, amazing facilities.
Yeah.
I went down to Gainesville last year. Shoosh, they got everyone. They got literally like name them. They're there. You got a lot of them went there, but they just stay.
Yeah.
Holloway, Diggs, Anna Hall, you name them. They're all down there. Claire Bryant she just graduated, or she's about to graduate, but like her and they're all there. Jasmine Moore, they just stay there.
Yeah, and if it wasn't for these college programs supporting them in the universities, those opportunities wouldn't exist. You know, people they'd be training on high school tracks and get kicked off and all that stuff. So
interesting. So again, a lot of people told me to ask about the USATF stuff. Like, you know, I still think it's mad slept on, like the opportunity you've got to do things there. And like, what's one, if you had like a little quick story or some really cool things you got to do, like you said you were just in China, like kind of talk about what's one of your favorite memories or moments, like, oh man, this happened, and I got to end up helping Donovan Brazier when and I'm sure
we've had a lot of fun stuff. Like I think I hadn't been to maybe 1 or 2 countries before I started, because you're a college coach and you're going to Raleigh relays, you know, whatever, you know, the usual circuit. And then I think I went to Qatar my first week.
Qatar, that's
or however, and then I showed up in this. And then the meet normally gives us a hotel because we're at USATF, and that's where we do treatments and all this stuff. Yep. So, but I got a hotel that was like, you know, thousands of dollars a night, you know, 90th floor up there. It's like, this is my first week, you know, on the job. And it was like, that's awesome, you know. I was like, all right, I could do this, you know.
Was that at Worlds in 2019?
No, it was at like one of the Diamond Leagues. I think it was the first Diamond League. But yeah, I mean, we've had awesome experiences. We would, you get a special bond with U.S. athletes, particularly when you're overseas, you know, because you're like, if you're at a meet, Florida relays with them, you know, they've got their crew there and all that, but all of a sudden you're in Sweden, and it's, you know, you and 10 U.S. athletes and the medical staff. Like you become, and you kind of travel around together. It's like a band, you know. It's the same athletes. They're like, you go from place to place, and then even the training ground in between and stuff. So, but yeah, one of the times I remember Sam. I remember Sam Kendricks won the pole vault in Sweden or something, and our hotel was like on the side of this river, and it was like he wanted an ice bath or whatever, and we couldn't figure one out. So just me, Sam Kendricks, and one of our athletic trainers just dive into this river afterwards, and it was freezing cold. And I don't know, it's cool because you get to see athletes like compete in front of all these people, and then just like as normal people.
You get to see them as humans, because at the end of the day, they put their pants on one leg at a time, just like us.
Yeah, and they're navigating it, like they're missing flights, and they're in, you know, you think it's like they're a professional athlete, but so much goes on at those meets, like good and bad. So yeah, just a ton of like little things that happen, but it was awesome.
I mean, even with pole vaulting in general, you were just talking about just getting their poles from one to B, and I think there's only like 1 or 2 airlines that do it now.
I've been to the last 3 World Indoors, and an athlete has not had their poles each time we've been there.
And this is the best of the world. World Indoors.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. It's crazy. We had an athlete forget their uniform. Poles didn't show up. Someone had illegal spikes. Just like anything you could think of, like in a college program.
I was going to say, they're just
it's
like
actually
your kids.
like worse at Worlds,
Crazy.
So it's,
That's
same
crazy.
stuff, different level.
Cool. So then again, we'll ask about like Zap Fit Zap. Like you were there, you were a pro athlete. I was looking up some of your times. Are these the times like 14:03 and 28?
Free super shoes. So
Yeah,
those would be like 13:30.
Yeah, kind of talk about like
mile.
what you think you could. Talk about your training days and like what's some of your biggest accomplishments when you were actually running, and then kind of talk about what you think you could have done with the technology, the double thresholds, the anti-gravity treadmill, and like just the carbon fiber shoes.
Yeah, I think I ran, and I'm sure you did too, like pre all this like cool stuff.
I went home.
The peak was like right before that.
I went home. Quick story, real quick, is I went home maybe like 2 Christmases ago, or it was Easter. It was Easter because the weather was nice. It was right around now, spring time, and I'm like, when I'm traveling, I just try to get any workout in. I don't get to do exactly what I want because sometimes the facilities, or I don't have the carbon fiber shoes or whatever. Yeah. And I'm like, all right, I got my old victories. I'm like, I'm just gonna do 8 times 300.
Yeah.
And I was trying to get down to like 40. Like I started at 45s, and let's get down to 40 or 41 or whatever. And I'm like, okay. And the next day, they hurt so my calves and Achilles all hurt so bad because that's when they were trying to be as light as possible.
And they were nothing.
They were paper thin. You were literally running on cardboard with spikes in it.
Yeah.
No carbon fiber. And I've gotten used to that where I'm like, how did we do this?
I know.
So
and we have to reset. We have to reset at times with that kind of stuff. Like you can go too far. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I ran right before all that stuff. I think one other thing that's helped my coaching was I had like 9 stress fractures. I had both femurs, I think twice, sacrum, I mean everything, torn labrum. So I didn't run an indoor race in college, I think until my 4th or 5th year. Like I was hurt, basically the whole time.
Same.
And I think that's helped me coach better, but that's also, it inhibited me as an athlete. Obviously, I only had really small windows of training. Yeah. So, but when I graduated at Grand Valley, I had the 1500 school record, I think the 10.
Went from the 15 to the 10K?
Yeah, I had all those. They got
beast.
crushed now. There's a guy, Zach Panning, that runs at Hanson's, that he led the Olympic marathon trials for a long time, but he destroyed every record and after that. So I did think as well, but I didn't have the benefit of having all the stuff, and I think that would have kept me healthy, and Alter G or Boost would have been huge for me. Yeah. So I take that a lot with us now. I mean, health is like number one, even if it maybe alters performance a little bit, like we try to keep kids healthy. Just knowing my experience,
You can't run if you're not healthy.
Yeah,
I mean, like it's not that they're worthless, but to the results and to your standings and all that, you need them to run. So if they can't do that, you'd rather take a 80% fitness-wise someone that can toe the line, or 90% than that. But I always think that's what stinks about our sport is like, you're like a racehorse, fine-tune one little thing, you can't run. Where LeBron James can break a finger, or some of these football, just tape it up. You can still see play football all the time, playing with the clubs, even like D linemen. Like that ain't happening in track. If you got something wrong with something down here, you're not.
Yeah. And there's just a mental aspect. A lot of the kids just, if they get something like that, it just totally throws them off. But we try to be first adopters to a lot of that stuff, like the Boost, the carbon plated shoes. I mean, the day those come out, we're buying them, and on the line, and people are like, what are you doing? Or bicarb, whatever, like all that kind of stuff. I think from USATF, sports science-y days, like if I hear about it and it's legal and safe, like we're going to try to be some of the first people to mess with it. Yeah.
Oh, cool. That's good. I mean, that's probably a big part of why, again, you guys have transformed from where you guys have transformed. When I first went here, or when I first started meeting you guys, you had Cole and Schwind, or you had Shane Strike and Schwind, Jonathan Schwind, and I was like, dang, they had 2 guys making it in the finals in the 800, and I was an 800 guy, and I'm like, who are these guys? I hadn't really heard of Lipscomb. That's one of those schools where you don't know where that's at, because it's not like Penn State or University of Pittsburgh, like where what city they're in. Lipscomb, is there a city called Lipscomb? So I think that was kind of the start of putting you guys on the map. And that was kind of one of your first 2 years or something out there?
Yeah, that was big. Yeah, I think that was right about when you came, was Shane's kind of coming out party too.
And then you guys, since then, you've had someone almost in a national championship, or someone there the last, 4 or 5 years?
Yeah. I think we've had someone representing at the outdoor championships every year, and then
For like how many
and
years
then the
now?
women's team's made it a couple times now. Yeah, for 5 years. Hopefully this year too,
Yeah.
which is good. I mean, that was like the goal is like, can you have an athlete make it, and then you can have a team make it, and now can you make it consistently? And like that's hard, obviously, at a school like we have, but we haven't had a really down year yet. So
No, I mean, if maybe like girls are better than the guys one year, but like you've still sent someone. So I think that's super impressive from like, again, coming to a team when I knew some of the guys before, and it wasn't as well put together. It wasn't as it wasn't a smooth operating machine where I think you came in, took a little bit to figure some things out, but I think you got a lot of people to come in and build it to something. Again, people are knowing about it. You know, I saw some articles on Flow Track. I saw some articles from Citius Mag about it, and I think that's kind of cool. And you know, it takes a team to do something like that, but you're the leader of that team. So I guess kind of talk about your philosophy or like your mindset into what kind of went behind making that happen, or kind of like what's your pitch to tell people to come to Lipscomb? Why is it better? What are you doing there? What's this magic?
Yeah, and I think and that's one of the things that when I was at USATF, we really focused on the 90 or the 1%, like I said, but I missed the 99 because I had coached before that, and then really got out of coaching. But I think that's something that Lipscomb provided that opportunity for me, was to like be around the team, still get to do like the stuff that I like, the sports science, like pushing the limits on stuff, but also just like being like having relationships and joking around. Like I love joking around with the guys and girls and going on trips and stuff. So, and just watching them get better. So yeah, and for me, Lipscomb was that place. Like I'm from Indiana. Nashville was, you know, sorry for people from Indiana, but it was a couple notches up on the, you know, coolness scale and then weather scale, but it's still close. So that was big. And then for me, like, as you know, Lipscomb's a Christian school. And so it was this like unique place. It's a unique place to provide, like, there's not many schools like that. Mm-hmm. And if you are a kid that's a Christian kid that wants a small school, that likes being in a big city, it was like, it fit me really well. And I'm like, there's got to be a bunch of kids that fits too, you know? So yeah, took a chance on that. And there's been a steady stream of people that like are looking for that too, you know, just like that environment plus D1 athletics plus Nashville, and it works out well.
It does have a lot of things. I remember Joe Kovacs gave me a call and was like, Billy, we're coming to Nashville. And I go, yeah. And he's like, I'm so pumped. I'm like, Vanderbilt, no offense, is not that great. Why? Because his wife was going to be coaching at Vanderbilt. Mm-hmm. And he's like, yeah, but think about it. He goes, Happy Valley? That city's an agricultural city. He's like, there's nothing there. He goes, he was naming all these big colleges. He's like, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. Old Miss, Oxford, what are you doing down there? Yeah. Like, and then he goes, Nashville, Vanderbilt. He goes, Music City, USA, baby. He's like, there's so much going on. They have professional sports teams. And he's like, that's crazy. So I think right there, and I think just from meeting like Brian Reese and some of these guys, they're going straight to working at AB downtown, and they're getting internships. Cole Strike even was working. He had an internship while he was in his grad school that he was going to a couple hours a week, and that turned right into his full-time job now. Yeah. And I think like that's a cool thing about being in a city with a big market is Happy Valley. Yeah, I was working at WPSU Sports, but you know, I'm not going to get a job there full-time. They already have a staff. Plus, that's not a big market. Super thankful for that internship and that opportunity. I learned so much. But like, you're getting this, and if you do good, you're going to get a job right away. And I think that, again, for people that aren't going to go to the Olympics or aren't going to be pro runners, that's a huge thing to have.
Yeah, absolutely.
A selling point.
And we've had that on our staff, even like, you just don't have as much turnover because people are living where they want to live. Yeah. If you see those like big collegey towns, like the kids might want to go there, but this, like the coaching staff, most of the time, like that's not their preferred place to live. Well, they just coach there in Knoxville because there's a, you know, like all those people would rather live in Nashville. So that's big, and we don't have a lot of turnover because people, that's where they want to live. And then selfishly, a lot of alums stick around because, like you said, they can, you know, I think this week got announced like the _1 undergrad business school in Tennessee and 23rd in the nation. So that's big for like the kids that come study business and then get a good job in Nashville and stick around. And they're not like coming here and leaving, like they're staying.
Yeah, and then it's probably just good for your community too. And like, I know there's people always popping around, or they'll come support some of your Vanderbilt meets. I see a lot of people, like old alumni come, and I think that's special. It's something, like I said, you don't get other places. And then people can see what you can become when you're a freshman. You're like, oh, this guy has his job and he's driving this car or doing that cool thing and that.
Yeah. And I do think like Lipscomb is one of places that I really do think kids leave better than they came.
Yeah.
You know, like I think all the young people go through a lot of changes in college. Like,
is crazy, yeah.
you know, maybe your freshman year it's going well, then sophomore year you tank, 'cause, you know, you're figuring out who you are and all that stuff. But I think that there's guardrails that prevent you from like going too far.
Yeah.
And so it's a good place where I think like, yeah, I think you can still have fun, but also you like truly are going to leave better. And I don't know, I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I think, I do too. That's a good point. I think something that's cool about you too is they call it the unofficial transfer you.
Yeah.
Like kind of talk about, like I said, a lot of those names I named.
And we're open for business if anybody's watching.
Who wants to check in?
Looking for a guy and a girl still. Come
transfer
on down.
you.
Yep.
Come to check out Lipscomb. Heck yeah. But kind of talk about that. Again, a lot of those names I named, Jonathan Schwinn's been there the whole time, right? But I think you had, you got Cole, I keep saying Cole. You got Shane Strike. You got Braden Palmer's there. You got, there's several guys every year. Some of them, Grant.
Yeah, O'Callahan,
Adam. You got a bunch of people that have transferred. Some panned out, some didn't, but most of them have been panning out and like leaving marks top in the NCAA, top in the program, breaking school records.
Yeah.
Kind of talk about when did that turn, or what have you been doing different to get them?
Yeah, that was kind of cool. I think we kind of are on the front end of the portal where we were able to pick up some people. And the people that kind of changed the program too, like Shane, go back to him.
Yeah, kind of talk about some of the guys.
Yeah, Shane was like, so we had Schwind. Schwind was a 146 guy, ended up making nationals. He was an undergrad here.
Jonathan Schwind, by the way.
Yeah, and he, awesome guy, and he had gotten pretty good, but like Shane Strike came in, and when he came in, I busted like Schwind forever. Like, hey, this guy's coming, watch out, you better, and it just kept him on his toes. I felt like the whole time from when Shane signed to when he came, I just was like getting on Schwind about like, watch out. And then they both just accelerated, So I think that's helped us is like have people from maybe some bigger schools that were like really serious and came to run, and raise the level of the program.
It kind of showed like their work ethic or what they took to be running at Ohio State or Minnesota or those other schools. Yeah. And they brought some of that. Again, you have your own culture and that's important, and I think that's the foundation. But when you bring someone else in, it's like, hey, I'm looking to stomp all you guys. Yeah. Then they're like, whoa, this is our school. Yeah. We're going to do it together, but let's rise together. I think
and it creates like a fun atmosphere when you have sometimes you have the same group of like undergrads together and you could get like kind of complacent, and then you just throw a wild card in there and it's like a firecracker, And so that's been good. I love that where you got like this core group, but then someone comes in and is like helpful, but in a way that's like, I'm kind of trying to beat you guys. Yeah. And so that's happening more. I think every school is kind of doing that. But in the same token, like on the ladies' side, our ladies got 11th at NCAAs and cross. I was going to say, and we didn't have one international or one transfer on the line. And I don't know if that'll ever happen again anywhere, but we had 7 girls that started that were all 7 undergrad kids. Only one of them broke 5 in high school. Like that probably is very unique, especially in today's world.
And y'all finished 11th in the country at NCAAs.
Yeah. What? And out of high school, they would have been so far. If you took all them as high school athletes, the whole field, they would have been dead last by a mile. But just their development. So it's cool that we've been able to do the transfer thing, but also kind of like if we need to do the undergrad, like we can do that too.
Wait, the development of that is crazy.
Yeah.
I guess that's awesome. I did not know that. I didn't think. I guess thinking back, but like
they would have been girls that none of the other schools would have wanted, out of high school, and they're all good. Bunch of sub-16s, and
I guess talk about, without giving out all your secrets, I guess talk about what you're doing to training and what are some things that are making that possible. Because again, you need a good athlete, you need talent, you need someone who wants to work hard, but also if they're working too hard or if they're doing the wrong things, they're going to burn out. They're going to not be the top of their potential. And it sounds like these girls are all, Kiara Carter, she's running really quick. Lydia Miller was blazing fast. Like, kind of talk about that.
Yeah, Kiara on our team, she was I think her mile split high school PR is 6 flat, and then she ran 4:09 for 1500. So she's unique that she was more of like a 4.8 kind of kid, but it's still always fun to be like, she ran like 6 flat in high school, and then ran whatever that is, 4:28. But I think Lipscomb is a good place again, back to that of like having balance. Like there are very few kids that it's like, especially on our ladies' side, that's like all they do and all they think about all day. And I think having that balance has helped. Like a lot of them, almost all of them take a day off every week. We still put in good mileage. Like they're building up, it might be 50, 60, 70. Like they're still running a good amount, but 6 days a week, a lot of times. We're taking full week to 2 weeks off after seasons. We're not racing all the time. Like we're taking our 2 maybe good opportunities this season, go big in cross, kind of go big in outdoor. Just trying to find like training hard, but also allowing them to be people.
Yeah.
And I think that when they end their career, they're not like totally burned out. They still like to do it, and so it's probably like being mindful of them as people, and then also training them appropriately, keeping them healthy.
Yeah, I always say I used to tell my coaches is being mentally healthy.
Huge, yeah.
Or mentally fit is actually better than being physically fit.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. You have to do the work. You have to put in workouts. But if you're just sitting this thing where you're measuring how much food you're eating and, oh my gosh, I only got 7 hours of 50 minutes of sleep, not 8.5.
Yeah.
It's like, you need to get sleep. You need to eat right. You need to put in the work. But if you're worrying too much about like you missed one little, I didn't drink coffee this morning, I'm not going to have a good workout, like stuff like that, it's like you're not mentally fit.
Yeah. 100%.
So like I would just be like every Friday I would go out with my friends and like I'd be like, hey, I might not be drinking, I might not be doing anything crazy, I'll be in bed by like 11, but I wanted to just let loose and like, let's go get some pizza, or let's go to a movie, or let's go to this show. And as long as I got my 8 hours of sleep and like didn't eat a bunch of crap food, I'm like, and my friends were like, how are you running better and better and better? But you went out on Friday. I'm like, well, I didn't drink anything. And I was like, I got my 8 hours of sleep and I had a salad made for me when I got home, a chicken salad. And, and they're like, oh, and I'm like, and I got to hang out with my friends and be a kid. They're only 22 years old. Like, so I think that was something that they're like, the next year, two of them, Kevin Hoyle started doing that, and he was a kid that was a Foot Locker guy. He was really fast in high school, did nothing in college. And then I think he went down and ran 4 flat, PR'd by 3 seconds in the mile. He ran 13:55 or something in the 5K back when that was fast. And he did all these things, and the coach goes, what do you do? He goes, I had fun. And he goes, I was mentally fit. And he goes, no way. So it was like, I think that's a big thing is that we kind of, you said, is they get to do their things, and they get to be in a fun city where they get to have fun. And like, I don't know, there's a lot of clubs that those kids do, and I look on campus, it's cool. They got volleyball courts, all this stuff they can play and just be kids.
And I think that is probably the trickiest part about this next phase of college athletics, because that's where we're going, is into this next world, and it is like so much about performance. And I think for me, I have to kind of fend off of that, and I think the kids do too, of like, it takes 3:53 to make the mile. It takes, whatever, 13:20, sub 13:20 to make, like all these times are like, you have to be perfect. You can't be the 4:18 kid in high school that worked hard. Like, and so I think as coaches, you still have to like demand excellence, but you got to figure out a way to do it and like make it fun, because it is like so high pressure now. Oh,
they're like basically, even with the NILs, they're like basically professional athletes, some of them now, where they're getting paid to do this, and it's like, hey, you want to keep that up? You want to go pro after?
And we're doing 2 workouts a day, times and stuff. And like, I never did that stuff. Even Shane, back those guys, we did that a little bit, but not a lot.
You're doing like double threshold stuff?
Yeah, or even just 2 sessions a day. Like 1,500 guys might do a threshold something in the morning, and then, race pace stuff in the afternoon. Like, we're still demanding more of them than we ever were before, because more is demanded from them to hit their goals, to make it to regionals, to make it to nationals.
Yeah, I mean, for the program, you need to make sure that you, like you said, you hit those things. But also, we were talking before while we were setting up the cameras here, like, I don't know who it was, Flow Track or someone put up that, I think 2015, who made it in the 1,500 first now. And like maybe Cheserek or whoever the first person was made it, but no one else would have made it from
crazy.
that time. And those guys are legends that are literally Olympians now, or pro athletes, and they wouldn't have made it in college based off the times. What do you think that is? You said you like the sports science stuff of it, and I know this topic has been talked about a lot everywhere, but kind of like, is it the shoes? Is it like just boost treadmills? Is it people doing more workouts? Is it people sleeping more? There's Normatex. There's all kind of crazy stuff.
I mean, I think it's got to be all of that. And then the other piece of it's just expectation. Like,
kind of like you're mentally blocked. Like, hey, 4 flat in the mile is not fast anymore.
Yeah, we had a dude, the freshman guy, Max. And we've never had a guy break 4 indoors. We've had guys break 4 when we've run outdoors. But no one ever broke it. And he broke it in our first meet in January, freshman. And like, you could just tell, like, I knew more people were going to do it. And then we had 2 more, do it. Not that they couldn't have done it, but just the expectation of, okay, like, they're doing it, I'm going to do it. So I think it is. I think it's expectation. And it's crazy that you can just keep rising to that. Like, I remember that happened with the Olympic marathon trials. They raised the standard, and they're like, this is going to cut the field in half or whatever. It's going to, and then more guys and girls hit the standard because the expectations were raised. So that's a piece of it. And then obviously you have all the tools and And I feel like we try to meet the athletes at their goal level too. So if like a kid's like, I did run 4:12 in high school, but I want to make it to nationals. So it's like, okay, well, we probably have to work out twice a day, and you need to run 80 miles a week, and you can't take that many days off. So like, we know what goes into it. I'll meet you there if that's what your goals are.
I think, yeah, that's interesting. Okay, yeah, that's good though. Yeah. I think it's better when you make a catered. Like at Penn State, it was kind of a cookie cutter. Hey, we have 7 guys, 8 guys that can run 150 or faster. These are the workouts they do. Hang on.
Yeah.
Whereas, and I love Penn State, but that was kind of the thing where at Syracuse, they were like, okay, you 3 kind of work out together. Wait, Billy, you have more strength than this guy. He has more speed. Okay, he's going to go with them. You're going to go with them for this workout. So it was more tailored towards what you wanted, and I think that's important to success. I mean, Syracuse, again, they won a national championship when I was there in cross country. Yeah, they had some very talented people, Marty Hinhair, Justin Knight, Colin Benny, but they also, a lot of those guys developed. Justin was always good.
Yeah, but they're probably not the best guys I mean, they've gotten some really good guys, but those are just hard-working blue-collar guys, which you still need. Like you see BYU, and they've got their, things that they do well. I mean, they've got altitude, which you can't buy, and you can't buy the extra years.
You got the poor man's altitude here in the heat.
But like, they beat a lot of the schools that purchase teams, and so still blue-collar in our sport is the biggest thing that you can do.
Do you think those shoes are making people with the carbon fiber making the races faster? I think it's like they get to work out in those so they can recover faster.
Yeah.
What do you think about those? And what do you think you could have run if you had some carbon fiber shoes for training and for racing?
Yeah. I think I was like the 14.0, 4.0, 8.0, I would have to think my PRs would be 59, 359. So I would like to think I could have done that, and maybe it would have kept me healthy. But yeah, I think the training in them is helping, but also the racing and just maybe not being as tired. And they have walked back, obviously, the shoe rules. Like you could race, which I think has been kind of a little bit of a bummer because like our 10K athletes used to be able to bounce back probably better because they were not running in spikes, and now your calves are torn up for a week or whatever.
Yeah.
So there's some positives and negatives there, but yeah, it's definitely helped.
They're figuring it out, but I think like goes back to those Zoom victories I was talking about from Easter break. Where
Jasaris back in the day, remember those things? That
you were running on nothing. You're running on cardboard. Now you got a thing that's literally giving you 3 to 5% of your push back, I guess, into your body. So a lot of people rip on me for, I'm not a pro athlete or anything, but when I train some of my long runs or some of my harder runs, I'll wear them, and they're like, no, you got to wait for race day, and I'm like, brother, I'm old. I've had 6 stress fractures. I go, I need to make it to race day.
Yeah.
So, and these help me. And the next day, I feel like, you got to work in, but I feel like way better from wearing them. So I think that's kind of the thing.
You got the Hoka hookup too, so you can.
Yeah.
Not all of us are living that good.
Shout out to Hoka. Yeah. That's funny. I don't know if it's a true story or not, but I heard when the Puma coach, and we don't have to talk about this, but when the Puma coach, or when the Borgans or the Goldens had Puma, I heard he bought. So Lipscomb's an Under Armour school for all their other sports, but the CEO of Puma, sons went there and played soccer, and he's like, I'm going to buy the contract. You guys are Puma for soccer now. I remember a couple kids on your teams, not that it was hard for them to get carbon fiber shoes, but they didn't get them at the rate that the soccer team was getting them. They got a pair or 2 each semester, which is all you need. But they said they saw all these soccer kids walking around as walk-around shoes in the Puma carbon fiber plates, and they're like, "Can I please have those?" So
now he's the CEO of Adidas.
Now he's the CEO of Adidas.
So that helps. Now I think the hookup, the inside, and that's helped with me. I mean, I've got some friends that work in running, like Kevin works at On, and so they've hooked us up with some stuff. And like even being an Under Armour school, I've got enough friends out there in the world that help test stuff and try stuff with kids and all that.
And your other jobs, other roles, and just putting in time. Like I think that's one cool thing about track and field is like, it's they say they have 3 degrees separation of Kevin Bacon. I think track and field it's like 1 or 2. Like if I don't know him and you don't know him, then that person definitely knows. Like it's like right there. So
that is something cool about like just like in my career, people that I would as like Bob Kennedy or Dathan Ritzenheim was a couple years older than me, or like I've got those guys' numbers in my phone now, and it's funny that just like who could be big to you in the sport. The other day in China, there's a guy, Willie Banks, that's involved with USATF, and I didn't realize it, but he invented the clap. Like, before you do that, and like we all went around and told like a special fact, and he's like, I don't know if you guys know this, but I invented the clap. Like no one did that, So it's fun, just like where I've been, all these people that are really, really high up in the sport, and they're just your buddy that you ran with, and now they're a big time coach or whatever. So yeah, it's kind of fun just to have grown and getting older in the sport. It's like I go to a meet and it's like a reunion.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, that's how I feel, and that's what made any of this possible. Was just I started doing interviews. They were corny interviews, and that's what I talked about. My last podcast was like, my first interview ever that was goofy was with this guy named Cooper Tier. Mm-hmm. Look at him now, broke the NCAA record. Then he was a U.S. champ. Now he's running blazing fast times. And then Sidney McLaughlin, Tara Davis, Mondo Duplantis. You name them.
They're all young, and now they're world records. And stuff.
Breaking world records, winning gold medals is crazy. So I think that is a sport. And now I see them, and people are like, "What? Yeah. Tara Davis said hello," and I'm like, "Yeah, dude, that's like my friend."
Yeah, that's your buddy.
I was just invited to the Thing Mo's wedding, the coolest thing ever. Like she was one of the first girls to ever wear the Toad singlet, and I got the invite to come to my wedding. I'm like, wow, how full circle, and just how cool that was.
Yeah, and then you realize your position in the sport and that you do have an influence. Like you go from just being like
it's cool.
the dude that wants to be on the team to now influeing people.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and then, we see Toad all over. Any meet, any place in the country, there's the logo.
No life like the ToadLyfe. Hate it or love it, he's here.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You were speaking of, you said fun facts. You said when the guy went around and said Willie Banks started the clap.
Yeah.
I heard a fun fact of yours is that you've never eaten a vegetable.
I didn't for a long time.
Is that true? And talk about it.
I did have a vegetable for dinner last night, but I did not eat a vegetable, like for real, not a vegetable. I guess do you consider a potato a vegetable?
It's a starch. I don't know.
Yeah, my wife would say it's starch, but I didn't eat a vegetable until I was like 25. Not one. And that's probably why I had 9 stress fractures. But yeah, when I went to
so eat vegetables is your point.
Yeah, don't. And then we got a guy on our team that doesn't eat vegetables, and he's heading down that path too. So eat your vegetables.
Eat your vegetables,
please. Especially when you're young, because you're 25, it's probably too late. But yeah, no. And then I went to Zap Fitness, which is like professional group Zap Endurance now, and I don't remember if it was in the contract or whatever, but they were like, they had a chef like cook dinner for us and all this stuff. And they were like, you have to eat the food that we serve, And so I tried even like beans. I never had bean. I never had a salad. I just ate I didn't eat bad, but I just ate pasta, chicken, Like every night would be chicken or pasta or something, or a burger.
So that's good food, but wait, talk about this. Like you go to a
never
restaurant,
not a
no
piece of broccoli, not a piece of corn.
No lettuce on your hamburger?
Nothing, no, and I still
no tomato on your
nope,
you just do ketchup and mustard?
Never. I've never had a tomato. I'm 40 years old and I've never had a tomato.
This is the content we need right
here. Or an onion or nothing. But I'll eat broccoli. I'll eat, I'll eat like.
What's your favorite vegetable? Give me top 3.
Broccoli, corn. You consider corn a vegetable?
Corn?
Is corn a vegetable?
Comes in like it goes out, or goes out like it comes in.
I'll still count it. Corn and green beans. That's pretty good.
Green beans are good. Those are good. Those are good. No asparagus, no Brussels sprouts.
No. I have kids now, so they watch. They're like the best way to get your kids to eat is you gotta
yum. Yeah.
But I think even a couple nights ago, they gave me something and I put it in my pocket, kind of thing, because I wasn't gonna eat it.
What turned you against vegetables? Did your parents not eat them?
Yeah, they just didn't make me.
Yeah.
I came home and bust open a can of ravioli or whatever, and that was,
I mean, I love Italian food. I ate pasta last night. It's my favorite. It's good. Yeah. And I kind of eat like you, but I always try to force in some kind of vegetable. And even if I just eat that first and just kind of shove it down
that's the way to do
milk,
it. Yeah, that's the way to do it.
That's the way I do it. Yeah. And then I really enjoy my steak or my chicken or my pasta.
I learned that at Zap though too. A lot of the guys would they'd have a glass of water and a salad before dinner, and then they would so that they wouldn't overeat, because and then I would go back for 10 servings of pasta, and then you're putting on weight and stuff you don't want to, but that was something I don't know. I think I was a pretty good kid, so they just didn't worry about me. That was just an area they were just all right, he'll do that, but he's not getting in trouble, so it's good.
Okay, a couple more questions on that is, what's your least favorite vegetable? You took a bite and you're like, oh, never again.
Man, probably a tomato. I think maybe it's been on something. I've never said, okay, I'm gonna eat a tomato, but I think I've eaten something and I'm like, no way. Yeah.
You guys probably hate me for this.
Or onion.
I can eat a tomato like an apple.
Oh, I'm sure you can.
I do it. I love tomatoes.
I wish I was that way, but I just.
My mom has an amazing it's not huge, but she really takes pride in making certain things. She'll make zucchinis and she'll make tomatoes, man. She has 3 or 4 tomato plants every summer when we're eating the burgers, watching the Pirates game. In the summer, she'll cut up a tomato and put up in fresh tomatoes. And I was like, Mom, can I finish the rest? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like,
That's good. I mean, I wish I was like that. I probably could be at this point. But then I just did it for so long, you kind of become the guy that doesn't do it. Yeah. And then I'm holding my ground.
That's funny. Okay. Do you have any other fun facts or like hidden talents or like non-running facts like that are like, wow, I didn't know that? Anything that's kind of fun?
Not
like
really.
Hidden talent? Can you do
I used to play, I can play a lot of instruments.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And pick them up pretty quickly. Since I had kids, I used to play guitar every day.
Okay. There's one over there. Play the song.
I could play, yeah.
But
honestly, I just I can play drums a little bit, piano a little bit. But then life gets in the way, That's like one of those things. I always envision I'm gonna have like a studio in the house, maybe like when the kids go off to college or whatever. But I'm like, that'd be awesome. That'd be like a life goal, is to have a room in your house that's like, just playing music or whatever you like to do, just like a fun thing. So maybe one of these days. What's your hidden talent?
Good question. Okay, so I guess now we're rolling.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said you're.
Because you're a pretty open person, obviously. You're posting a lot. Is there anything that you don't post that you do? Like, is there anything you're like, this is something I don't put up?
Unless you've seen me in person, you've been my roommate, you know it a lot because I do it. But I'd say I'm really good at making noises, but also whistling.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, so if you know me as a friend, you've seen it. But if not, you're like, what just happened? So I guess I'll look at a camera and do it. But my hidden talent is, I guess, whistling is really good. I can whistle without even moving my mouth.
Yeah, that's good. I can't do that.
Or and then in school, I used to always do the Harry Potter
Yeah.
And then I can even whistle like a whistle. So we got 3 different tones. You can do the.
Oh. Sounds like some animal calls or something like that. It could be in a.
Yeah. So that was kind of my a hidden talent that I think more people know than not, but I can make some interesting noises like that. And then see, I always ask these questions, so I think the good thing about a podcast is you kind of get to have a conversation where you can ask me.
Yeah.
And I think what hidden talent.
And you're a baseball player. I mean,
yeah,
I know we talked about that a little bit.
People say that I'm like, what were you gonna say?
I said you're a baseball player. I know we talked about that a little bit, but
yeah, I think people will say that I'm the most average. I'm the best average person ever. Or if you gave me something, I would probably be. Maybe that's just athletic. I don't know, but I'm not going to the Olympics. I'm not going to the MLB. I'm not going to the NFL. But my roommate played in the NFL, and I go out there and I can throw 40-yard, 50-yard bombs with him, and my 3 guys on my baseball team played in the majors, and I can catch them. I can hit, I hit off of them. I throw with them, so I can do that running.
Yeah.
Some of my friends are the best in the world, and Craig Engels was like, "Hey, come out to Doha. We're gonna do all my runs with me until you."
And you picked it up late too.
Yeah, and I picked it up late. So I think I was I'm not the best, but I could hang with anyone.
Yeah.
So that's a weird talent.
Yeah.
I love drawing. I think Mo drew me this right here, but I love drawing. I used to, my Jen Amendola, Mama Jen, she's my second mom. She had a arts and crafts drawer when I went to their house, because I would just basically live at their house all the time. They were down the street a little bit, and I just love to draw. I know I could do the cat's cradle, string and yarn. I took 4 years of ceramics in high school. My one SpongeBob still hangs in the hallway. I made a SpongeBob. So I think but that makes sense if you think about it. I just very creative, and I think that's my hidden talent is sometimes I don't even plan for meetings. I remember when I was at the Army, they're like, Billy, come to plans we have a big meeting with this sponsor, and I'm like, okay. And I would think of nothing.
Yeah.
And then I'd listen to the room, and they'd be like, Billy, what do you got? And I'd think of 5 ideas, almost on the spot. Yeah. And they're like, that was good. When did you think of that? Why didn't you tell us? I'm like, I just thought of it.
And some people can't. Just don't have that.
So I think that's mine. I just have an interesting brain.
Yeah. Which is awesome. I love that about working together with people too. That some people can just.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I have it all the time, but I do say I get luckier more than. I mean, I make all those skits. That's what those videos when Nick Polk just ran 13:50. Okay, let's think of a fun skit or something. Yeah. When I used to do those Run Junkies and all those videos, I would think I had 90 seconds to make something up in my mind. And some of them were flops, but some of them were hilarious. Like Jordan Geist threw 72 feet, and he loves Taylor Swift, and I'm like, I don't know about you, but I'm throwing 72. Super corny, but I thought it works on the spot. So. Yeah, I think that is that, and
that's good.
I don't know. I call myself a professional people meter.
Yeah, it's good to see you
I can talk to
using your talents in all these ways too. Yeah, it's awesome.
So, you're a really good coach. You've taken this program from Lipscomb who to we know who they are. Kind of talk about you've had some other offers like Notre Dame and stuff. Well, you know, those are big schools. They're doing big things. Yard and Goose, some big name Dylan Jacobs have come from there. Kind of talk about why you decided to stay here and what you love about it here.
Yeah, I think a lot of the reasons we talked about earlier, like I think Lipscomb uniquely provides something for a population that like not every school does. Like there's kids that just like, I mean, again, not to knock on anybody. We're at an SEC school at a meet last week, and I'm just like, you know, trying to provide something for people that's not that. Like there's a lot of kids like it's just too big, it's too crazy. Like that's for some people, but there's other people that can be successful somewhere else. And I just feel like I relate better to that, you know. And I'm sure you found this in life. Like as you get older, you start figuring out like who you are and like where you work. You want people to have similar values, like, you know, just not stretching who you are to work someplace because it's cool.
Yeah.
You know? And I think like that's been, as I've gotten older, you kind of realize what you're good at, what you're not good at, where you fit. And like sometimes you see a coach go somewhere that's a great coach and it's just like, it's just the wrong environment. The kids aren't the right kids to coach. You can't work well because you're mad all the time because they're not doing the things you want or whatever. So I think for me, I found a place that is just like, it just fits who I am. And then I think that then you can coach the kids the right way. You know, you're not demanding things that they can't do or expecting stuff that they're not capable of doing, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I worked at Fox Sports and Root Sports. I loved my time there. I had good experiences there, but I remember everyone wanted ESPN. And I made it to 2 final interviews. It was between 3 people. 2 different times I made it. And they flew me in, got the interview there. And man, the people, you know, grass isn't always greener on the other side. They say, like, I got there and you got to eat lunch with the guy that does your position.
Yeah.
And he was like, hey, man, I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer or anything, but there's like 18 of us and only one gets a promotion every 5 years to producer. And he goes, so there's 18 of us and now we kind of hate each other because we're all trying to get that job. And he goes, and it's only every 3 to 5 years. So we're just sitting here waiting and they're only going to pick one. And he's like, and I was like, man, I believe in God. I believe everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
This was God saying, bro, this is not for you. You're going to Hartford, Connecticut or wherever up there, Bristol, Connecticut.
Yeah.
And I was like, man. And I thought this was going to be the best ever.
Right.
ESPN, come on, I watch it every day. Top Sports Center, top 10, like everything. Like, and I was like, wow, I would have never thought I'd ever say this, but I don't want to work there. I don't want to get this position. I literally said I don't want to get it. So, and I also think another thing is the devil or the demons you know are better than the ones you don't.
Yeah.
If like, you know, there's always bad, it's called work for a reason.
Yeah.
I'm sure you definitely have hard conversations with kids, with parents, with boosters, with athletic directors and stuff that like, you know, those, but you know. Whereas if you go to other schools and there's other people that have money from NILs or other, you know, it's I think it can get.
Yeah, so I think that's big. I think you just like know yourself. And it's hard as a 17 or 18-year-old recruit to know who you are. But you see a lot of kids just trying to go to places that it's cool, but it's just not the right place for you. You know, everything that you say you're about, you're going to a place that's not that, you know. And
hate to say this, but I think Oregon's kind of like that because of Hayward and because of all the gear.
I mean, that'd been a dream, man. I watched Without Limits in high school probably every day, you know, and that's the place. But then you get to my age and you're like, would I even work there if I was afforded the opportunity, you know? And it's like, I don't know, you know, like back in the day, you know, 20 years ago, you'd be like, I'd leave right now.
Drop right now.
But yeah, life changes and like, you figure out like, where can you be successful and feel validated yourself, but where can your skills be utilized? And that may be some places that may not, you know.
But Lipscomb's just right for you.
Yeah, it's just right for me for right now. I don't know, you know, maybe in 10 years or something changes, or the NCAA is, I mean, everybody knows there's a lot of stuff kind of going on with that, but like for right now, it's like I can help them and they can help me, you know, in a good way. So.
All right, 2 last things is that we talked NILs. You know, talk about that as like, we were just talking about that again while we were setting up, like you saw the basketball coach was leaving or one of their kids was leaving and I saw number 5 for the Gators was from Belmont. And there's a guy named Caden that went to UNC from Belmont. I mean, that's basketball. That's different. But just talk about what NIL deals has done for the NCAA and what you think is right and wrong, and then also how does it affect track, more importantly?
Yeah, our sports, it's not, I mean, basketball's crazy. That's what's going on right now. So I think a lot of us watch that of just your season ends or before your season ends. You know where you're going and you're just...
what's it called?
Yeah, McNeese, whatever. Like those guys, they already know like halfway through the season, you know. So it's crazy because like you do when you're coaching a college team, you put so much value on community and being a team and like truly being a team. But like at any point, the team, you know, the family breaks up, and that could be coached down to student athlete. But I think in our sport, we're still protected from that to some degree. Like I don't think ours will ever get to that level. We've been fortunate to like there is a certain level that you get to, and then you just become more attractive. Like on the ladies' side, we get people that are like, I'm the number one runner at X school, and I've been there 3 years, and we haven't made it to nationals in cross. I want to be on a team that makes it. Like I love those kind of kids coming in, and I think that kind of transfer portal-y stuff helps us. But yeah, I mean, I don't love the way it's going. I think I love the fact that kids can make money. You know, we've talked about this before, the guy that's not going to go to the NBA that can make money, that's like the perfect situation. But the money kind of getting involved and making kids not get degrees and stuff like that bugs me. Or just jumping just to jump every year.
Yeah,
you know?
I would love to see, like I said, it was Trevor Cooney was a guy we were talking about before from Syracuse, but Ziegler from Tennessee. You know, those are guys that deserve to make the money because they might not make the NBA, but they are literally, the team cannot function. When Ziegler goes out, they cannot function. They don't have their point guard, Tennessee basketball. So, like, I think that's important for that guy to get his money. But, yeah, when they're just giving everyone money, I think it gets dangerous. And I think it basically allows these kids to live the Johnny Manziel life that he got in trouble for. Or the Reggie Bush life. They gave him his trophy back for a reason. So I think that's super scary. I would love to see, like, hey, there's a cap on it. You can only make $100,000 a year, only $100,000. That's insane. And then you only get it once you graduate.
Yeah.
I think that would encourage kids to, like, get a degree. It would maybe they only get $20,000 while they're in school, and it's still so much as a college kid. And then when you graduate, you get your full $100,000 or whatever you were given each year. But then you'd leave with $500,000 and no debt for school, and it would be, I think you'd be set up.
Yeah, and you also worry about just
limits on it.
The time of life. Like these kids are, this 2 or 3 year period or 4 year period is going to be like their highest earning of their life and the best time of their life. And then that is like peaking at 21 or 22 in life at like athletically, socially, financially. Like that's hard. Like you're still, like all of us, you know, you kind of climb, you know, but man, to think that like your best days are behind you at 22, and there's a lot of kids that's going to be the case. I'm sure that's going to be hard.
It's like pro, though. Now you're not playing for the fun of it. That's why I loved March Madness, was those kids were trying to make the league. And if you had a good March Madness tournament, Michael Benajay wasn't going to get drafted for Syracuse. Sorry, I'm relating to Syracuse. I went to Syracuse. He was not going to get drafted. That was the year they were a 10 seed, and they went to the Final Four. Boom, went to the Warriors second round. Like, that would not have happened if the March Madness didn't happen. There was no NILs back then. He was playing for the love of the game.
Yeah, and an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, an opportunity. And so I think that, and the transfer portal also, I was not a good runner for that level. I was not going to be on Syracuse's top 5 for their cross-country team. I had to write a 3-page handwritten letter, and I had to like go in front of a jury and talk to these people about why I wasn't even transferring. I graduated with a degree from Penn State, and they did not offer my other degree at Syracuse. I could not run for the first like 2 months I was there because they're like, he's ineligible. And I'm like, cuz I'm not that good, first off. Chill. Second off, I graduated. I have a degree. I'm going for a master's degree.
Yeah. You don't own my rights.
Yeah. And they would not let me participate. Yeah. And now, love Sam McDonald. She's a great human, but she's this example that pops in my head. Love you, Sam. Is UCLA to somewhere, what was a red school? UCLA somewhere, and then she's at Oregon now. But she went to 3 schools. Was it USC? I don't know. She went to 3 schools in 3 years. And I was like, what in the blazes is going on?
Yeah.
I think that's ridiculous how I had to fill out this crazy form and go through all compliance like 3 times. Yeah. And then people get it's like almost hard to be a coach. You probably haven't had that situation, but like if someone, you're not starting me, I'm going to transfer. Yeah. Like it's like, I had a bad week or a bad month because you were helping a kid grow mentally and physically, and you're like, F this guy, I'm leaving. I think that's
and it's really like somewhere in the middle, of both those scenarios. Like yours is way too hard, and then it's too easy to leave after school, and it's like, can you find somewhere in the middle? Yeah.
Is that going to kill mid-major schools though? Like these Belmont kids, like the whole basketball team transferred after 1 year.
I think in the track cross-country world, I don't think any of this is killing us yet. Like I hope it never does. And then I also think there's some places that are going to cut track, and we're going to be the beneficiaries, especially on the men's side. Yeah. There's a lot of schools that are not going to be able to financially do all this stuff, and college basketball, man, it's tough to be a small school. But then the same token, like Lipscomb made the tournament this year, that so much marketing dollars and eyes on them, so that it's huge. That's a huge deal. I hope that stays as part of kind of the NCAA mix in the future.
Yeah. Cool. Anything else you have to say? What are some notes you want to leave? If anyone wanted to come here as a recruit, or some of your goals as like for the rest of the season, or.
Yeah. If you're looking for, the door's open, like you mentioned.
Transfer you.
Yeah, we've got space to make it. On a team that wants to make it to NCAAs in the fall, we've got space, and I think we do a really good job of just coaching the individual, and what does Dion say? We ain't hard to find, We're open for business.
Neon Dion, baby. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, I guess that was the first one. I don't know how it went, but the first official episode with the guest, Nick Polk, Lipscomb Track and Field. One of a kind right here. Super honored to have him on the show. And you guys leave some comments down below or DM us what you want to see, and we'll try to put it on there. But we'd love to have you on again, and maybe it'll be more focused on something certain. But I think it was good to have you on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. Bada boom, bada bing, cha-ching. That's right. Episode 2 of the Billy Toad Show. It's in the books. Check back on episode 1 to find out what the Toad life is and where the Toad started. And we'll see you guys next time on the Billy Toad Show. No life like the Toad life. Bye.